Hi there, today is January 12th, and I'm not even going to pretend I haven't been crying all fucking morning because that is what I've been doing. And, the interesting part of this is it's okay to not be okay. And I feel like we're all walking around pretending we're okay, wanting to be okay, thinking everyone else is okay. And, the truth is we're all in pain. We're all dealing with issues. And, Brene Brown had said a few years ago that shame's best friend was secrecy. And that's one of the most powerful things I've ever heard. Because, of course, the things that we're ashamed of don't want to be spoken out. Because then we have to do something about it. And then it's no longer a secret. It's no longer like this, deep dark secret. It's something that has been exposed. We put light on it, and it's no longer subconsciously controlling us. And what I've experienced so many times in my life is when I'm having a hard time, like, these last couple days, it literally feels like my guts are being ripped out and my heart is breaking. And I don't feel like getting out of bed in the mornings. I just want to lay in bed and cry. And I do cry. Trust me. I have been crying a lot, but I'm also getting out of bed and going to the gym. I went to the gym yesterday because going to the gym always puts me in a different place in my mind and in my heart. And I've been speaking out to my friends about what's going on. And these are such important things to do. And one thing that I want to share that I've been recognizing, because what I feel is every morning I wake up and I have this, the fears and the doubts show up. I'm not even going to try to stop crying anymore because it's just a waste of time. When I wake up in the morning, the worst case scenarios show up, the doubts and the fears show up. And so I come to my space on the couch and I put my worship music on. Sometimes it's worship music, sometimes it's like tribal music, sometimes it's just spa music. But for the longest time, it's been worship music. And when I listen to that music and I put my hand on my heart and I feel my emotions and I notice my thoughts, I always get to this place of peace. And it's just an overwhelmingly loving place to be, where I feel held, encouraged, accepted, and loved. And that is what the word heal means to me. Hold them, encourage them, accept them, and love them. And that is what I feel the divine does to me every time I'm in the moment with it or them, whatever it is. I see it as a divine mother and divine father. You don't have to. That's how I see it. And I feel flooded with peace and filled with joy. And then I cry more from that space of gratitude. And then more thoughts show up and more trauma is triggered. And then I cry from the place of sadness and regret or resent or whatever it is. But when we're crying it out, we're releasing it. And what we're also doing is we're healing those parts of us that tell us it's not okay to not be okay. I don't know if I said that properly, but we all have beliefs that have been formed from our trauma that tell us we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, we're never going to make it, we're never going to succeed. And then we have people in our lives that tell us those things as well. But when we sit in the arms of the Divine Mother and Divine Father, or however it is you see the divine, we really feel held and encouraged and accepted and loved. And that is when we start to heal, which means we are then proving to these doubts that they're not true. And we never know what we're healing. We never know how much we're healing. But what we do get to see is through the days and through the years and through the months and whatever it may be, that we react differently to things. You know, this situation that's happening in my life has happened for the last year on and off. And every time it happens, I react differently. It's more like I'm responding to it than freaking the fuck out about it. So my heart is changing, my mind is changing, which means I'm healing. And so I'm wanting to share this message every day because I want to share the things that work and don't work for me so that you can find peace in your heart, or, you know, peace in your mind, joy in your heart. It's not like those are the only places they go, but it just kind of feels like peace is in our mind and joy is in our heart. So that's how I speak about it. But what I wanted to share is I find these incredible places of peace and joy. And then I go through my day and it's like I start to get afraid or doubtful again. You know, the thoughts start to show up and I start to believe them again. And that's when, you know, our trauma is triggered. When our trauma is triggered, we start to get the thoughts that generate our emotions. So, you know, if you imagine the most beautiful place on earth, if you imagine a little beautiful lake or mountains or oasis, like if you just have this imaginary place where you go where you just feel safe and held, you know, whatever that is to you, it can be with God, it can be with Creator, it can be, you know, with your inner child or just by a tree, whatever that is. But if you imagine that in your mind, and that is your job every morning is to get to that place and feel the peace and the joy and just feeling safe in this space, then what happens is it's like if there's a road to that place every night and throughout the day, it's like there's storms. You know, when there's a really, really bad storm and then like trees fall and you can't get across the road until you get a chainsaw and you got to clear the trees and everything that fell down. Well, that's how life is. It's like it's blocking our road to the peace and to the joy. And that's what happens when we have these painful emotions. It's like, oh, okay, I've got these emotions to clear. So we feel them and we get to the other side of them. We notice the thoughts and we get to the space between our thoughts. That's just imagine that it's like, okay, there was a storm and now I got to clear the road to get to my perfect place again. And that's kind of an analogy that I'm using to see like, oh, that's why it's not like a steady state of peace. You don't just get to peace in the morning and then all day you're at peace and you never have to do the work again. That's why it's so important to put this work first and to do the 1 hour. I suggest at least an hour in the morning, every morning. Feel those emotions, watch those thoughts, get to the place, you know, the space between your thoughts, and get to the place behind those emotions where you feel joy and safety and you just feel held. And then throughout the day, stuff is going to kick up again. It's going to be like there's these little mini storms and then you've got to do it again. But you don't have to do it for as long as you did in the morning because it's like, oh, okay, a couple trees fell. I just need to sit, put my hand on my heart and breathe. Oh, okay, I feel peace again. I'm good. And this is what I want to talk about every single day to get you in this practice. So put your hand on your heart now. Take some nice full deep breaths. And feel the emotions that show up until you reach the peace. Notice the thoughts that show up until you find the space between them. Have a beautiful day.